just a quick look at questions. I did see that there were some questions that came in regarding the M.C.C scorecard.
Hi guys, Ibrahim. Quick, this is for, I want to send a special thank you, first of all, to Ambassador David Reimer. I want to say a special thank you to the Public Affairs Officer for the U.S. Embassy in Sierra Leone, Ms. Servan On. I want to thank her very much for hosting the conversation on human rights that was commemorated by the U.S. Embassy in Sierra Leone. And they did a phenomenal work with the panelists, lawyer Rashid Doumbouya and Miss Stephanie Kamara. Very, very special thanks to Ambassador David Reimer, by the way. This is Ambassador David Reimer, doffing, a country garment. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Ambassador David Reimer, for the session that was held on the 16th of December, 2021 at 11 a.m. on human rights. And of course, it was hosted by, Seven Horn. I want to thank her. She did a phenomenal work. She did very great, and the people of Sierra Leone appreciate her. I wanted to know that. You see, because what has been lacking today in Sierra Leone is basically we lack civic education. A lot of people don't even know their basic human rights, because they've not been taught. There's not been an opportunity for them to even know about some of these rights. And that is why in my platform, the People's Liberation Movement, that is what I seek and strive for, to make sure that I educate and sensitize Sierra Leoneans so that when it comes to their political rights and, the civil liberties and all of these, my platform on Facebook, this is my page right here. Basically, this is all I teach, to our people, to all our citizens, because I want them to be able to understand that, like you said, Seven Horn, without no human rights, there's no democracy. What's democracy without human rights? And we see what is happening in Sierra Leone today. It's very destructive and dangerous. This current administration of President Julius Maada Bio, they don't respect human rights. It is either their way or the highway. If you're not on their side, you're the enemy, you're anti-government. This is all the terms they use, against the opposition. Constantly arresting, arbitrary arrest. Citizens are protesting. They get, arrested, locked up, sent to court, charged with all kinds of unscrupulous charges, up to 21, 22 counts, when these people are only exercising their rights to protest as prescribed by the Constitution. Section 26, subsection 1 makes it very, very clear you should be protected. But this government would spin that around and say, charge you for public disorder. This is what they do. So again, the human rights of the people are being violated. But I just want to say special thank you to Severin. I want to say special thank you to lawyer Rashid Doumbouya. I want to say special thank you to Miss Stephanie Kamara, because you guys did a very beautiful job. And by the way, if you want to see that video in full, it is on my page right here. Just go down to right there on the 16th. This is the post right here. You should be able to watch that live, and so you can see exactly everything that I'm talking about in this video. Okay, it is right there. It was a live session that was held on the Facebook page of the U.S. Embassy. So if I go to the U.S. Embassy right here, this was held on the 16th. Again, it was hosted by Severin Horn. So right here was the live that was done from the page of the U.S. Embassy. So by the way, this is the U.S. Embassy's Facebook page. I want you guys to see that. So if you want to see, you can either go through my page, the People's Liberation Movement, or you can go through the American Embassy's Facebook page. The live is there. December 16th, it was an hour of talking about human rights, globally, celebrating or commemorating the Human Rights Day, across the globe. So, I just want to say thanks to them. But what I want to say, make very distinctively clear to Severin Horn, and this was a lot of questions that popped up during the live, and mostly so the M.C.C. And I want, Ambassador David Reimer, and I know you know this, and Seven Horn, if you guys can hold a special just on M.C.C. and the scorecard, do another live session. I would love to be a part of that panel to make time and talk about the importance of why Sierra Leoneans are very doubtful, of the legitimacy of the reports that the M.C.C. has been giving about Sierra Leone when it comes to the scores that the country has been making, especially when it comes to ruling justly. This is the concerns the Sierra Leoneans have, because broad daylight, we see the human rights violations ongoing in the country. There's no democracy when people speak up against the government. For example, with this latest census that is so unconstitutional, You know, it never made its way through parliament. Parliamentarians protested against this census. Therefore, it's not a statutory instrument. But again, I know America does not want to get deep into our politics. But the reason why Sierra Leoneans are very skeptical about the M.C.C's activities in Sierra Leone and that of Indehi Fatou Cissé Nkrumah, who is the M.C.C.U unit's country CEO for the M.C.C in Sierra Leone, the Sierra Leoneans are very, very much doubtful today. Sierra Leoneans don't trust the M.C.C. The Sierra Leoneans are looking at the M.C.C as this very terrible organization. In as much as we are hoping to receive all of these millions of dollars if it comes, because it's going to help a lot of Sierra Leoneans. But when you take ruling justly, you look at political rights, right? We talk about democratic rights. So political rights and civil liberties. When in Sierra Leone, item after item, we can go through this list of people protesting. Their civil liberties were violated. They were arrested. Of the hundreds of citizens that have been protesting in Sierra Leone that were killed by, this government. You know, you look at what happened at Pademba Road Prison's massacre. I mean, this is the civic rights of these people, regardless of what it is. Even though these guys are in jail, they don't deserve to be executed and murdered summarily, just like this government did to them. The people at McKinney that were killed because they protested for a generator. People at Tombo, Lonsar, across the country. You know, with all of those violations, the M.C.C keeps scoring this government. And so the people are looking at this and saying, what is wrong with us? Are we crazy? I mean, look at the M.C.C scorecard. It is a travesty. It is a joke. So in the live that you did, Seven, I want you to know that is why a lot of Sierra Leoneans are asking these questions, because they don't trust the M.C.C anymore. There is no trust for the M.C.C in Sierra Leone because people see every day what is happening. There's no rights to free speech. There's no rights to protest. So how is this government scoring justly when it comes to ruling justly 90%? Where is this data, coming from? We know the Freedom House works with civil society organizations in the country. But of course, a lot of these 95% of the civil societies, they carry, party cards of the SLPP. So let's leave that aside, not just the fact that because everybody's going to belong to some ethnicity, right? But these guys are card-carrying members of the SLPP. And today they're silent. And they're giving these fictitious reports to the M.C.C through Freedom House. And the people know it's not factual, it's not credible data. And the people of Sierra Leone have lacked total trust in the M.C.C. That is the feedback I only want to give to Seven Horn. So I'd appreciate it if you guys would want to have like a live session again on your page. I don't mind coming on your platform to talk about the activities of the M.C.C. Why Sierra Leoneans are very much, very doubtful of, the data that the M.C.C is currently giving about Sierra Leone when it comes to ruling justly, because their civic liberties and their political rights are being violated every day. You take a whole minister, went to an election, tossed the ballot box in the air with his thugs. You're telling me that the M.C.C still scored this government 90%? We can go way back to 2019. Protesters that were protesting in front of the American embassy, they were arrested, locked up, beaten up, tortured at Benghazi. This is what is happening. And yet we're talking about civil liberties and this government is scoring 90%. These are a lot of the questions that people have. Again, Ibrahim Cissé goes further. The judiciary is a shambles in the day-to-day democratic dispensation in the country. Some of these law officers need to be stripped, of their so-called wigs. But this is what exactly is happening. So when you look through, Seven, and the people are concerned about everything that is happening with the M.C.C and they are focused on the M.C.C, there is no civic liberties. There is no human rights because the M.C.C is supposed to protect the human rights of the citizens. If the M.C.C had actually put a check on this government, the M.C.C had given them the scores that they deserve, which would have been 20% or 10%. I'm telling you, this government would have stopped. They wouldn't have continued with the rampant killing and abuse of, arbitrarily arresting opposition members before speaking up against the government in a democratic state. People are not allowed to talk back or go against the government to say, no, we don't agree with this. We're not going to accept it. If you do that, you're being arrested. And yet the M.C.C keeps giving this government flying colors. So that is why we don't trust the M.C.C. Sierra Leoneans don't trust the M.C.C activities in Sierra Leone anymore. I wanted to give this short feedback. I don't want to make it too long, but that is the essence of why people are very distrustful today of the M.C.C. And I hope President Joe Biden will listen to this and hear this. And we should ask critical questions to Mr. Mahmoud Bah. We should ask critical questions to Ms. Indehi Fatou Cissé, who's the country M.C.C. CEO in Sierra Leone. We should ask these people questions because we know that the data does not support the facts. I'll leave it right here, but feel free, Seven Horn, to reach out to me. This is my email, and we appreciate you, but this is my email. Please feel free to reach out to me, and I'll be happy, Ms. Horn, to come on live with you for us to talk about the reason why Sierra Leoneans are very much, I'm not trusting of the M.C.C activities in Sierra Leone at this particular moment. The scores don't support the data. The data does not support the facts. The reality on the ground is terrible. The human rights of the people are being violated. And this government is using the M.C.C as a cushion, for them to actually continue to propagate their violence against our people. Because what do they say to you when you ask questions? They say, we've passed the M.C.C. That is how they see it. We've passed the M.C.C. Nobody can say anything to us. That is all that matters. You can go to hell for all I care. Basically, that is what they say to us, even myself here. So I just want to thank you again. This is a short feedback from that live on, the 16th of December, talking about human rights, commemorating human rights across the world. But Sierra Leoneans are suffering and they're asking, we want you guys to open up an investigation into the activities of M.C.C. But feel free to bring me live. I'll be happy to come and join your panel so we can talk about the M.C.C. in Sierra Leone and why the people are distrustful of the reports from the M.C.C. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Before we wrap up, just a quick look at questions. I did see that there were some questions that came in regarding the M.C.C scorecard. Not the focus of this particular conversation, but I will just say very, very briefly that I understand that there are some questions on how the M.C.C scorecard works. There is more information at mcc.gov on how these scores come about. And what I can say is that we don't control that process. That's not a U.S. embassy or U.S. government controlled process. How M.C.C scorecards work is they take scores that third-party independent organizations have pulled together and use that to come up with the scores. So this is not us saying this or that or the other thing. This is us pulling all the information of what Freedom House says, what different international third-party experts say, and that's where those scores come from. So I know that there's some confusion on that. That's the background on it. And if you want more information, there is a lot of information on sort of how these scores come and who controls them and what those numbers mean at mcc.gov. So do check that out, and thank you for your questions.